Hello everyone, David A. Cox here with PCClassesOnline.com, and today we are going to be discussing the web browser called Google Chrome. Now, Chrome has come up in discussion in our past classes several times. Usually when we're talking about new to Windows or new to Mac, when we start talking about web browsers, of course, Windows comes with Internet Explorer and the Mac comes with Safari. And usually at that point in our class, is where I would recommend to people that they not use those web browsers, but instead go with Chrome. And recently I was teaching one of those classes and someone raised a point, which is that I'd never done a class on why, and also to go over the different features of Google Chrome. So that's what we're doing today. Now, one of the things I want to mention before we really begin here is if you are on a Mac, we are going to be creating a version of this video for you. Right now, I'm teaching this in Windows 7. They're very similar, but there are just a couple minor differences. So here we go. This is Google Chrome on Windows 7. So I started using Chrome years ago, and part of the reason, there's a few different reasons, what makes this stand out in my mind as the best web browser out there. The first is that it has a feature built into the guts of it where it will automatically synchronize between all your different devices. So if I add a bookmark to my computer and I want to now go to that bookmark on my tablet, there's no button I have to push. It automatically synchronizes with all those different devices. The second feature that I love is that if you've ever been on a website, especially something like YouTube, and you go to pull up a video and it says to you, oh, I'm sorry, your Flash player is out of date, and then you get that annoying little pop-up. Well, that doesn't exist in Chrome world because Flash is built into the guts of it in terms of how it works. So you can do all those things without worrying. I should probably note that if you try to access a Flash website on an iPhone or an iPad, it obviously will not run. But in that case, there's usually apps that will allow you to access the same content, like YouTube, the app, not the website. Let's see, third feature that I really like is you have tons of different extensions and apps that you can use within Chrome. That's also a lot of the appeal to the Google Chromebook, which is their own laptop that came out a few months ago and has had mixed reviews. I kind of like it, but there's a few things that I think they still have to do to improve the overall user friendliness of it. So let's go over the basics, and then I'm going to show you a couple of the advanced features. So let's start up here at the very top of the web browser. Of course, we have our back button. So if you're surfing on the web, you need to go back a page. That's your back button, of course, followed by your forward button. This little icon, in case you are not familiar with it, is the universal symbol for refresh. So let's say you're bidding on something on eBay and the timer is ticking down and you want to see if you're still in first, if you're still the winner of it. If you click this button, it'll refresh the website. By the way, hotkey to do that, Control and the letter R. So if you hold Control, tap R, that's the other way to do it. On a Mac, same thing, but use the Command key. Next here we have the Home button. Now this is not necessarily on every version of Chrome. You can add it back. Hopefully we'll get to that feature later on today. Then of course we have our website address bar, but it's more than just an address bar. It's also Google. So let's say I want to research puppies and kittens. For whatever reason, that always seems to be the example that I use. Instead of having to go to google.com and then typing it in, I can just click right there and type in puppies and kittens, and it will Google it for you. Oh, isn't that cute? Moving on. Now, some of the other things you can do here, by the way, I always like to mention this because not everyone knows this. On any web browser out there, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, you name it, you don't have to type www. That's a thing of the past. You can just type in the website. So in the case of, let's say, PCClassesOnline.com, you don't have to type www. Just type PCClassesOnline.com, hit enter, and it goes there eventually. Over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see a bunch of little buttons that are not they don't come standard with Chrome. Those are extensions that I have added to my web browser, but the one that you will see is this little star. Now, by default, it's actually hollow. So let's go to a different website. Actually, I can just do that. So by default, this star is hollow. For those of you who are not familiar, that's how you bookmark a website. So if I want to go to this website frequently, hint, hint, you can click on this little star icon and it will add a bookmark automatically. Little tip for you. Usually when you go to bookmark a site, it has more information in the actual name than just the website address. So in our case, PC Classes Online also has this little word here called home. It has to do with how we built the website. So one of the tips is you might want to go into your bookmarks and just edit them a little bit. So you can delete that word home, make it nice and simple. Some people will even just abbreviate this with PCO. So that's another way to do it. And down below it, it says, where do you want to save this bookmark? Now, most people are going to save it to the bookmark bar, which is right here. It's underneath the web bar. It's all these little shortcuts right here. Now, the other thing you can do is you can create a folder. For example, I've done that over here. So, for example, when I go to my different tech news, I'll have a bunch of different items listed there. Under tools, I'll have a bunch of different web tools that I'll use. So you can create those as you want. The way you do that, there's a couple different ways. I'm going to give you the easiest. Just right-click in one of the empty gray spaces right here. So when you do that, you can hit Create a New Folder, Add Folder, and then just name it whatever you want it to be. So if you want it to be News, you can call it News. If you want to call it anything, you can do it right there. And then to add in your different websites, if you've just created it, one way you can do is you can just drag it and drop it inside of it. So now when I click on New Folder, PC Classes Online is right there. If you ever want to delete a bookmark, all you have to do is right-click on it and hit Delete. And it goes right away. Now, the main place where you're going to find your various options and settings is going to be right over here at the top right. You'll have these three little lines. And a lot of the various Google products, they use this symbol. So you'll see it pop up if you have like an Android or an Android tablet. And for example, here we can go to create a new tab. A tab is just a really easy way to have multiple websites open without it clogging your screen. So when I do that, I get this second little tab that opens up here at the top. Another way you can do it is clicking this little button right here. That opens another tab as well. And of course, because I have to give you three different ways to do it, the other way is to use a hotkey. So if you hold the Control key on your keyboard and tap the letter T, as in tab, it'll do the same thing. Mac users, same thing, but Command. Let's go back here. If you want to open a new window, that's the next option here, which is Control N is the hotkey. A new incognito window. Basically what incognito means, you can probably guess, is it's the same thing as private browsing. For example, on Safari, it doesn't track your data. It won't show up in your history. It's anonymous. Below that, we can go into the Bookmark Manager, which will just give you kind of a large layout. Another nifty feature is if you look right here, we have Import Bookmarks and Settings. So if you've downloaded Chrome but you've used other web browsers out there, if you click on that, it'll import all of your data, including not just your bookmarks, but also your saved passwords from other various browsers like Safari, Firefox, etc. Recent tabs that you've closed, you can go there. We have a zoom feature, and this is for this particular page. I'm going to show you how to universally zoom in just a minute. No one really does save page as because it's saving the actual HTML code of the site. It's kind of pointless these days. You do have a print option here. The tools, I don't think we need to go over. History and downloads, you can go over there. And then we have settings, and that's the next feature we're going to start to focus on. Now, one of the things I like to go over is this right at the top where it says on startup. You can tell Chrome what to do. One thing to be aware of, if you are on a PC, one of the faulties in how Windows works and generally speaking with privacy is that you may have noticed when you go to install a program, it'll give you 50 other things that you can install at the same time, like a toolbar or this other little app that you don't care about. This is one of the places you can go to eliminate that. A lot of times I work with clients and they start using Chrome, and even just adding a couple basic extensions or applications, suddenly now when they open a new web browser, a new window, it goes to Yahoo or some strange version of Google that I've never heard of. So you might want to check this out here, and it says open a specific page or set of pages when you go to your web browser. So you can click here to set the page. Now most people out there either use Facebook, Google, or a website news website of their choice as their homepage. And so you can do it by just going right here. If you have what I just described, where you have that thing where you start using it and now it's a different website, just click the little X up here to remove it, and then you can type in the website address of the site that you want to load and hit OK. Below that, we have the appearance options, so you can choose different themes to give it a little bit of a different stylish look. If you go with one of the apps that I'm going to show you in a minute, you won't actually need that because it's going to override it. Home button. Remember I was mentioning that just a second ago? If you want it to show up, you just click right here. I always prefer to use that feature. If you don't like Google for whatever reason, you can change it by clicking right here under search options and change it to Yahoo, Bing, Ask, or God forbid AOL if you want bad information. I'm sorry, dude. Was that my personal opinion somehow squeezing into one of these classes? That never, ever happens. You can choose to make your default browser. You can see here that I've already done that. And then we get into advanced settings. And let me scroll down just a little bit here. Okay. Privacy, of course, you can go into change your different privacy options here. Good thing to check out. Another really key feature here is passwords and forms. So if you choose to have your web browser save your password information, it's important that you know where that data is so that if you need it down the road, you can get it. And it's right here. You click manage saved passwords rather, and you'll be able to see a list of all the websites that you have that have saved passwords. By the way, one feature I want to throw out there more than anything for Windows users is this right here. Back in privacy, send a do not track request with your browsing traffic. It's just a good way to not give out all of your information. We scroll down a little further. One of the things I mentioned just a minute ago, this is where you can go to universally across the whole web change the way it looks for you. So let's say you have a smaller computer, or maybe your vision just isn't quite what it used to be. You can change the web content and tell it every time that there's a font, don't use a medium-sized font, use a large font. Or if you really have trouble with it, you can go to very large. And then here we have page zoom. So that's everything, not just text. By the way, if you go too large here on font, it can kind of start to distort some websites. Just be aware of that. So page zoom, if you want it to be just a little bit bigger, maybe bump it up to 125 or 150. And all of these settings will save and move across all your various devices. Below that we have, of course, languages. I don't think we need to go over that. Downloads, if you want to change the location where your stuff downloads to. For example, sometimes people, instead of saving it to their downloads folder, they might save it to Google Drive or Dropbox. That way they have that data on all of their devices that they've downloaded. Go down further. We have Google Cloud Print options if you have a printer that uses Google Cloud Print. Basically, the key feature of that, if you decide to use it, if you're able to use it, is I can be 100 miles away, hit print on my computer, and it will print something out on my printer at home. But you do have to have a special kind of printer to do that feature. If you want to reset all the browser settings, occasionally when we recently uploaded the brand new version of PC Classes Online, people who went there right after we launched it couldn't see it. They saw like an ancient version. You can go in here to reset browser settings and tell it to reset various types of content. I'm not going to do that. Now, that's the basic settings right here, but the other thing I want to talk about are extensions and apps, and yes, they are different. So extensions are right up here, okay? And just to refresh you on how we got to this page in the first place, is we went to the little 3 lines up here at the top right, and we went into settings, okay? Now, extensions are little programs that run in the background while you're browsing the web. So let me give you an example. 2 of my favorite ones are Coupon Helper, which is free. Most of these are free, by the way, and Invisible Hand. Let me give you an example of how I used this the other day. Just yesterday, I bought a new TV for our home. And I went on Amazon to take a look at the various models, and I found a Samsung model that I really liked, had all the features I cared about. And because Invisible Hand was running in the background, it gave me a little pop-up and said, I found this TV for less at abesofmaine.com. So it then shows me where I can get the same gadget for less money. I ended up saving $300 off Amazon. How many times does that ever happen? So that's a nice little app. Then when I went and got the TV, before I actually hit pay, Coupon Helper kicked in, and it said, hey, I found a coupon for $10 off. So I enter in that little promo code, and I got it knocked down an additional $10. All kind of cute little things that run in the background that can be really handy. More than anything, for those of you who are Windows users, make sure you check out AdBlock Plus. It's a great way to prevent, check this out, you can prevent video ads from running on Facebook and YouTube. Excuse me. You can go into the actual guts of it and find out the different options you can use with it, but it's a great way to improve your overall web browsing experience. And again, it's free. Actually, of all the different apps that you're going to see and extensions, I only have one that I actually paid for, which is this right here. Most of you will never need this, but Facebook Invite All Friends Pro is a way that if you have, let's say you have an announcement and you want to send it out to everyone, to do that through Facebook would require you to individually click each person's name in a list and send it out to all of them. And if you have a lot of friends, it can take a really long time. Facebook Invite All Friends Pro gives you essentially a select all feature. So you can just click it and boom, it highlights everyone. Moving down, one of the apps that you'll see, I'm sorry, I keep saying apps and I mean extension, is Foxtab Speed Dial. Okay, and what that one is that's this. So when I open up a new tab, I see all of the websites that I frequent fairly often, whether it's Facebook or the Awesomer. Great blog if you've never seen it. 9to5Mac, Amazon.com. Of course, you can see the others there that I use. And there's a bunch here that I don't really use anymore. Another fun one is PhotoZoom for Facebook. What that essentially does is if you are on Facebook and someone posts a photo, if you roll your cursor over the photo, it'll blow it up. So without having to actually open it, you can see a larger version of that photo. Now let's talk about the actual apps themselves, to get apps. If you go up here to this button here at the very top left, that will take you by default to the apps that you have installed. These are they're sort of like programs that run in Chrome. This is a big feature in the Google Chrome OS, which we're going to have a video on shortly. So if I want to have for example, those of you who watch our videos who are in the United States, you're probably familiar with 60 Minutes. Well, using this 60 Minutes app, I can watch it whenever I want. It can be on my schedule. I have a little Pandora app that I can run in the background, okay, and the others that you can see on my screen. Now, to get more of them, what you do is go down here to the very bottom right of your screen where it says Web Store and click. Now, there are thousands of apps for Chrome. This is probably the overall best feature. Now, like most app stores out there, whether you're on a tablet, an iPhone, whatever it is, most of them are crap, and I don't mind saying that. But there are a few out there that are awesome, and I'll just give you kind of a little sample of a few of them. Overall, I'd still recommend that you go through here and explore on your own and see what appeals to you. The big one I tend to go into is under Collections. They have one here for your desktop. For whatever reason, a lot of the ones that appeal to me, I've always found there. So let's say you want to have an easy way to check the weather. You can click on WeatherBug right here. By the way, this version of WeatherBug, so much cleaner than the version that you many times get with a PC when you buy it. That version can really slow down your computer. This just runs when you want it to, which is what most people want. Scrolling down here, you can see there are tons of different apps here. One where you can DJ from your web browser. It's kind of an interesting concept. Can't say I've ever used it. We scroll down here. Let's see. Let's go into popular apps. Maybe that'll show a few more that I have used. If you want to have something to kill the time, you can install Angry Birds or Bejeweled. Okay, there's of course many other games on here. Google Maps, you can see I do have installed. It's just because it's one of those things I tend to pull up quite often. Note-taking applications we have here. Tie-ins to Gmail, Google Drive, that kind of thing. Google Drive, really nice feature if you have never explored it before. Pandora, Cut the Rope, another game. Spotify, we've done a whole class on that. That's handy. And you can kind of go through at your own pace, Netflix, and find whatever apps appeal to you. And I found that about 99% of these apps are free. There's very, very few that they actually charge for. And this is something you can go and explore all day. You can check out which ones are popular. As you start to download more and more of them, it's going to learn your taste. And then you can go here into recommended. And so based on what you have downloaded, it'll make a few suggestions. And that's basically Google Chrome for you. I've been a big fan of it since it came out, and just really reliable and heavy in features. So I hope you'll check it out. If you have never heard of PC Classes Online, by the way, you can go to our website. We are a completely free service open to the public. We currently have members in 160 countries. And by the way, if you happen to be watching this video on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it, and that way you'll be notified when we come out with new videos. And of course, if you give us a little thumbs up that you liked it, we appreciate that too. This is David A. Cox with PCClassesOnline.com, and I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Thanks, everyone. Take care.